In this video, I'm going to show you the stitches that are part of the Great Migration. So on the previous row, I had slipped the last 2 stitches. So my working yarn is coming out of not the first 2, but actually the 3rd. And this gives you a nice I-cord edge. So first I'm just going to knit those first 2 stitches. And then it is a SKP. So you're going to slip this next stitch as if to knit. You're going to knit the next stitch, and then you just slide it right over the top, and that's your decrease. Then in the actual pattern, you've got a whole bunch of stitches to knit, but because this is just a swatch, you don't. Now you can see I'm coming up to the row of eyelets that you create. And if you pull it apart, you can kind of see that there are 3 stitches coming out of one hole here. You want to knit that first stitch, and then you want to do the knit yarn over knit in that middle stitch so that your holes are going to line up here. So you're going to knit, yarn over, and knit in that same stitch. And then you go to the end, and right before the stitch marker that most people will have in theirs, you're going to knit these 2 together, and then you're going to slip the last 2 stitches as if to purl. In general, when you're not working the stitches, when you're just slipping them, you would slip as if to purl. So once again, you see that the yarn is coming out of the 3rd stitch in, and that's going to give you the I-cord on this side. So on this one, you're just going to purl, oops, all the way back. And when you get to the end, then you're going to slip those last 2 stitches, and if you have a stitch marker in there, that's just going to remind you what to do. So let me demonstrate that once again, but with holding my yarn in my right hand. So I'm going to knit the first 2 stitches. And then SKP, you go in as if to knit, knit the next stitch, and then just slide it over across the top. So when you do the decrease, you're slipping as if to knit, and when you're doing the edges, you're always slipping as if to purl. We're gonna knit over to the eyelets. You can see I'm at that spot. You can see that there's 3 stitches coming out of this one hole. So I'm going to knit the first one, and then you want to do your knit yarn over knit in the center stitch so that they all line up. So we're going to knit but not pull off. We're going to pull through but not off. We're going to move our yarn to the front, which is going to give us the yarn over. Then we're going to go back into that same hole, wrap, and come back. And you can see how I have 3 stitches where I used to have just 1. And the rest of the row. Okay, now I'm going to knit 2 together. And then I'm just going to slip those as if to purl. And you can see how the holes are just lining right up, and you can sort of see that I'm starting to get a chevron here. So I have my 2 tassels made for this end, and I'm just going to sew them on to the point. I'm going to get as close to the edge, but I still want something firm to grab onto. I'm just going to pull that through. And tie it. Pull it on a little bit. And then I'm going to take my end, go back through the knitting, and then down through the tassel. Take the other end, do the same thing. You're going to go through the knitting, through the tassel. Make sure it all fits nicely. Trim off those ends. And voila!